Hello and welcome to the Fireside Chat series, Voices of Change, brought to you by Great Learning. I'm Sapna Kapoor, head of DEI Initiatives. This series aims to spotlight the incredible work being done by DEI leaders who are shaping more inclusive and equitable workplaces. Throughout the series, we hope to inspire, inform, and engage our audience by exploring the tangible strategies and transformative ideas that fuel DEI work. It's an absolute pleasure to have Sreya Ghosh Oberoi, Head Diversity and Inclusion India, Capgemini, join us today. Shreya, your journey and commitment to advancing DEI have inspired many. I'm looking forward to diving into your experiences and insights. But before we get started, could you briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure, Sapna. So, I am Sreya Ghosh Oberoi. And like you shared, I take care of diversity and inclusion for Capgemini in India. We are a large organization, so we have 175,000 employees based in India out of 13 cities. And my personal journey is I have about 20 years of experience, and I've spent about a decade of that within the D&I space.
Wonderful. Let's dive right in with our first question. You've had an impressive journey in D&I. What inspired you to take on this role, and how has your perspective evolved over the years as you have engaged with this work?
To talk to you about my inspiration, I think I would like to speak about my own personal experiences. I took a break in between around the time that my daughter was born. Actually, it was intended to be an education break. I wanted to do my post-graduation. And at that time, I realized that I was also on my family way. So when I realized that I was going to have a baby, I was very happy. Even though we had certain plans for my career, I put them on the back burner. I completed my education. And soon after that, my husband got a role outside of the country and we decided to move. So that all of that led to about a 4-year break. When I got back to India, I wanted to restart my career, get back to working. And what I realized was at that time, which was quite a while back, none of the organizations were even ready to touch someone who had a break. And it just led me to believe that maybe I am not updated with the current skills. I had certain challenges with my own self confidence. And when I got back to work eventually through a lot of networks that I had, previously when I was working, that's when I realized that there are so many women who have who are talented, who have the right kind of skills, who would be loyal, hardworking, but because of the way the world is around us, their mindset, that so many women will never get the opportunity to come back to work and explore their skills in the corporate world at least. So I think some of these experiences really taught me the importance of stepping in and voicing out these maybe small differences, discrimination in the workplace, and try to create a more inclusive workplace for all of us. So I think that personal journey was really something that made me passionate about this. And since then, I've not looked back. I've been able to equate these feelings of, difference in your experiences, in the way people treat you, with all sorts of diversities. And this has helped me in really advocating for an inclusive workplace for everyone.
It's quite inspiring to hear your journey, and I'm sure your story will continue to motivate others in this important work. Given the shifting dynamics in today's workplace, how do you interpret DE&I in the current organizational landscape?
Again, very interesting question. Shifting dynamics. I think change is the only thing that's permanent, and everything is constantly changing. You will see a generation of workforce stepping out, multiple generations stepping in, and how organizations are growing. I mean, if you look at Capgemini's journey in the last 20 years, how it has grown just within India. And that will actually also showcase the shortage of skills, right? So every IT company, and we are a large IT services organization, we are trying to, in our growth journey, bring in many talented people within the workforce. And that's really what our driving force is. Now, imagine if we were to target only a small talent pool of people. I mean, all organizations are doing that. So, if we start to fight on the small talent pool, I don't think we can foresee our growth journey in the next uh, decades to come. So, it's important for us to then look at all sorts of diversity. So, workplaces started with having only men earlier, but because of our growth strategy, we are now looking at hiring all sorts of talent. So, of course, we've started to create workplaces which are inclusive for women. Today, Capgemini is at a 44% gender diversity. A huge talent pool is, of course, people with disabilities, because all of us work in intersections, right? I mean, we could say we are maybe men, women, but each of us could also have some sort of disability which could become a barrier to us having an entry into a workplace. So, looking at people with disabilities, or the LGBTQI community, just because you're different doesn't mean you could not be successful in a workplace. And therefore, I think it becomes critical for us to create workplaces where all sorts of diversities can feel the sense of belonging, thrive. Only then we actually can pursue our own growth journey, hire more people, and continue to get more clients, and continue to sustain ourselves. And talking about clients, I've realized that, we are not catering to just one industry. IT services means that we are supporting financial services, banking services, engineering. We are servicing banking, like I shared earlier. So while these different industries are catering to, very different, diverse customer base, what we don't realize is that the customer base, the client base, they're all equally diverse, right? And when we are talking about creating solutions and IT solutions for our clients, for their customer base, we need to have those innovative thoughts, those innovative ideas, sense of these great solutions which could cater to a diverse population. Now, just to give you an example, today some of our leading clients are trying to obviously engage with their customer base who could have a disability. So, if we were to create an interactive solution for them to interact with their customer base who may have a certain disability, then for us to actually build a solution like that, we would like to have people who have their own lived experiences to form those solutions for us. So you see, everybody's lived experiences translate into those innovative products that eventually our clients will want to incorporate for their own customer base. And therefore, diversity helps in every way. That is what I have realized. Now, I've also realized, while it is so important to have diversity, I've also realized that sometimes it may not be so natural for inclusion to happen. I shared with you my own personal experience, and suddenly how I realized that the exclusion that I felt was actually leading to excluding many talented people in the workforce. Now, people have worked in a certain culture, and that culture becomes so inherent to them that they take pride in it. And sometimes they don't realize that they're causing exclusion. And therefore, I think not only understanding the benefits of what diversity could bring to you, it's important to tell people how to be inclusive. And that's where I've seen the change in over so many years of me working in diversity and inclusion. We started with talking about why diversity is good for businesses, creating a business case for it. And now, after realizing that diversity is good, we realize that we may not naturally create inclusive workplaces. And that is where equity steps in. So you have to tell leaders that creating an equal opportunity workplace might not work out sometimes, because equal opportunity needs to translate to creating personalized opportunities for people. So while somebody can be very good at climbing stairs, for example, you may say, I would love to hire people with disabilities and I'm creating an equal workplace. But if you do not create ramps enabling people on wheelchairs to come into your workplace, you have not really created or given the opportunity to people on wheelchair. So personalizing it for every employee, which means you created a ramp for somebody on wheelchair to come to your workplace and work there, is actually a step towards creating inclusion. And I've just given one example, but for different diversities, these little differences mean a world for them. And that means that they could actually come and give their best to the workplace and be able to work. So that is the shift that I'm seeing. And I think we will eventually get to a place where these will no longer be an effort. It would just be a way of working. It will just be how natural it is for us who may not need a wheelchair to come into workplace. We would have created inclusion for all sorts of diversities to come into workplace. I mean, that's, I think, where I've seen the transition move towards.
Wow, it's inspiring to hear how you navigate DEI in today's evolving workplace. My key takeaway is adapting strategies to tackle challenges and opportunities while maintaining inclusivity and equity. Let's talk about learning and development. What innovative learning and development strategies are you implementing to foster inclusivity within your organization?
Yeah, thanks, Sapna. I think L&D plays a very big role, of course, in growing our talent. So just bringing them in is the first step. You grow them and you retain them and you help them to identify their own successes will help not just the organization but the employees themselves. So L&D actually plays a big role. Um, like I shared earlier, I think creating personalized learning paths plays a very important role. So offering learning modules that are tailored for an individual's career goals and their abilities is probably the next way to creating success for them. So, just to give you an example, in Capgemini, we have a platform called Next Platform, and what we do is we have modules, and because we are an IT organization, I'll give you examples of what we do there is that we have modules on, let's say, Java foundations, our Spring Boot framework, which basically is tailored to each and every employee who is aiming to become, let's say, full stack Java developers. So it would create a learning path which is personalized to your journey to the level that you have been able to, um, get certified and where you need to get to. So that really helps individuals move ahead. Now, we also have a lot of collaboration with e-learning platforms like Harvard AWS partner certification. Now, all of these actually are provided in a very inclusive, accessible manner. The content is very accessible. And it ensures learners with different abilities and learning styles to have equal opportunities to upskill themselves. Now, this is applicable both for tech and non tech roles. And it also helps you in certain behavioral and leadership trainings, which kind of develops people to move into leadership roles and grow in their own career journeys. Apart from that, what we are doing is, to make the workplace more inclusive is what we've done is we've realized that far too often, I think it's the L&D or the HR or the D&I folks talking about inclusion and how you can be an inclusive leader. So in Capgemini, we have started to train leaders to conduct leadership sessions, leadership inclusion sessions, where they kind of talk about how leaders can be inclusive in their everyday lives, in their everyday work relationships with their peers and their teams, and take a top down approach, be a role model to being an inclusive leader themselves. So that's, I think, a very interesting transition to how we train people on inclusion itself. Then we also have some mandated training programs on uncovering on unconscious bias for recruiting. So more than um, once, I think everybody would have realized that unless we create hiring managers who are trained to even ask inclusive questions, we might actually create a barrier at the entry level of employees. So how are you asking the right kind of questions, and how you are not allowing your own unconscious biases to creep up even at the interviewing process is an important aspect of how we look at our managers hiring today. Apart from that, I'm going to talk about again a very interesting way of conversations around inclusion in Capgemini, which is called inclusion circles. Here, the leaders themselves take up these conversations on unconscious biases, why inclusion is important for building a great team, driving the right kind of team spirit, and our top leadership levels do these inclusion circles with their teams and their N plus ones and N minus ones, everybody. So the idea is that I should be the role model and I should start the inclusion process with me. The journey should begin with me. Apart from that, you will see a lot of awareness sessions that we are driving. For example, Empower and Include series. These are again disability sensitization and awareness sessions where we engage with various groups. So it starts with, let's say, our business HR teams, our people managers, our support staff, and all our enabling functions to be aware of how we should be, growing, evaluating people, let's say, with disabilities. And then we also have a lot of sessions, let's say, to create awareness on what is neurodiversity. And we have a veterans recruitment program. So bringing people to understand what are basically the military services, and when people come from the military services, how should we create an inclusive workplace for them? So it's really, you can say, uh, a holistic approach towards how we look at creating inclusion in our L&D programs, whether it's upskilling people or whether it's creating a sense of inclusion in our workplaces.
That's incredible work, Shreya. I think your efforts are not only impactful, but also set a powerful example for driving meaningful changes. I'm sure you agree that tailored learning, what we discussed, is a great way to ensure equity. As we see rapid advancement in technology, how do you think AI, the buzzword, can enhance D&I efforts, particularly in promoting equitable learning experiences?
Sapna, I think you've hit the nail on the head. AI is the latest trending, and the support that AI can give has been transformational for all of us. So, let me speak to you about the AI's role in DEI. Now, all of us have been talking a lot about accessibility, and I think that AI tools have created that real time support system for a lot of the tools that we use today, Teams or Zoom calls. Today, AI tools are giving us real time captioning, voice to text features, and automated content translation. So, ensuring that learning is accessible to everybody. And it's not, earlier we used to wonder, okay, if we cannot speak a certain language properly, are we able to, how will people with hearing disability or hearing impairment be able to fully participate in this conversation, right? Now, all of that has become, integrated solutions in our systems. So, while it has supported people with hearing impairment, it has also supported people, let's say, you and I are having this conversation in English, but it's an assumption that we make that everybody can understand English, even in our country, right? So, though we created an AI support system, keeping people with hearing impairment in mind, it's actually helping everybody. So, people who may not be able to understand English very well can actually be able to understand through real time captioning and be able to participate in any training program or conversations that we are having. And you just spoke of tailored um, programs, learning programs. So that level of personalization that AI can give you today, because it can analyze your learning style, your skill gaps, your preferences, in terms of what sort of learning module do you want, whether it's self-paced, whether it's virtual, it can come up with an entire program. So, again, taking the example of IT, learning AI learning platforms can actually recommend an advanced Python programming course for a developer after analyzing their progress in the foundational coding modules. So all of this is happening through AI. And then I think today, all of our large language learning modules are helping us tremendously by creating powered algorithms that can actually identify and mitigate biases in our learning content also. So ensuring materials are fair and inclusive. It's become so easy, Sapta, today for us to evaluate our policies that we've documented within the workplace to actually come out with something that could be bias in nature, because we did not realize the language that we used in it was probably incorrect, right? So all of this support is today available, you can say, at the tip of the fingertips. It's just right there. And within Capgemini, you know how we are using generative AI training has become crucial to fostering creativity and improving problem solving and optimizing workflows through effective use of AI powered tools. It equips individuals with the skills individuals need to rapidly adapt to the evolving technologies and maintain a competitive edge in the digital era. So, like I said, we've launched this AI tools pathways in our learning platform, and it is offering to our employees a tailored learning plan for both beginners and advanced practitioners with very diverse, learning needs. So, very different abilities are now taking advantage of these tailored learning plans. And these pathways are basically featuring very expertly the curated contents that has been developed by our Capgemini University. So, making it accessible to all abilities is becoming easier thanks to AI today. because of how quickly it can learn and adapt to the needs of the learner.
Seeing the impactful work you are leading in this space, Shreya, it's exciting and inspiring. Your insights have truly been invaluable. Thank you so much. Before we wrap up, is there a message you'd like to leave our audience with about the importance of DNI?
So, the message that I would like to give is, every organization today is waking up to the fact that diversity actually is bringing in the cognitive diversities, which means different ways of thinking that actually provides the solution um, to problems that are out of the box, that are creative. And I think that is the way ahead. I mean, if you look at a lot of organizations in the past 20 years, you will see some have actually declined, some have continued to grow, and their sustainability has been these innovative ideas. If you look at Google, for example, how much it has changed, and these different ideas come from different people, people from different backgrounds. Now, all of this can only become successful if you are accepting others' differences, if you are open to looking at uh, people and being curious about how different they are, the different working styles. For example, different generations coming in have very different working styles. And if we were close to it, we would actually not find talent for our future growth. I mean, you would say, okay, Gen Z they have such a different working style. We couldn't adapt to it because that's not how we work. Then who in our coming years are going to actually be working in the organizations? So we also have to continue to think how differently we can work to incorporate different types of people. Now, we always believe that, okay, there is a DNI or team or an HR team who's going to drive this, but that's not really what brings success to organizations. A culture is driven by each one of us. So if you are an employee, no matter which level you are at, you need to open your mind and be inclusive. If you are joining an organization, be open to different types of people coming and working with you. Try and create that circle that you form of your people that you work with and you easily interact with. um, Enhance that circle. Try and see uh, who in your circle is probably not like you, but you are still making an effort to include them. And if you are a manager, you have the privilege to hire people in your team who may be different from you. You have that power. So use that power. And if you're a leader, you have the power to change the culture of the entire organization. So it has to begin with you. Use your own experiences of feeling exclusion and try and understand what other people would do when they are excluded. If you are able to empathize at that level, you are really making that change. You're really helping the organization becoming an inclusive workplace. So I think that's the message from me. It may be a little bit long, but it's heartfelt.
Beautifully said, Shreya. I believe we have gained valuable insights into the significant strides being made across various organizations. Thank you once again for being a part of Voices of Change. It was wonderful speaking to you. This has been Voices of Change, brought to you by Great Learning. Until next time, stay committed to creating a world where everyone has a voice.